Good afternoon and welcome to Coffee on the Coast. Hello and welcome to Coffee on the Coast. I'm your host today, Tina Prigge. Welcome back to the show, Tim Gadzinski from the Manitowoc Public Library. And Tim, I noticed you've got a whole new look going on. I love it with the tie.
Well, thank you. And did you notice I'm wearing Vagabond purple?
Big thumbs
I mean, I
up.
really thought this through, which is weird for a guy who usually wears a green plaid shirt and a black t-shirt.
Yeah, I'm just going to put this back up for a second. So you know what we're talking about. If you see this picture of Tim,
My
he's almost
haircut's
always
kind of
wearing
similar,
that.
though. At least the hair is similar.
I don't know, Tim, your hair is so tame today. I almost didn't recognize you.
Well, my wife and I decided it was time for me to rejoin the human race as far as looks go. That I didn't really live in a cave somewhere at Silver Creek Park, a secret cave, but I actually lived in a house with a wife and a pug. And my wife has cut my hair for like the past, I don't know, it's got to be close to a decade now. And I love that. I think she
Nice.
does a great job.
Yeah.
She is a veterinarian, so she does have experience trimming animal hair. So,
All right, I'm not going to touch that. But
well, you can't.
in addition to your new look for the show, which is awesome, totally approve, the library itself has a new look. I'm going to pull up this graphic. This is what the library's logo previously was. Any idea how long was this the library's logo?
Oh, that has got to be well, when the library moved here, so over 20 years ago. That's really when it came into play, and we're approaching our 25th anniversary on Quay Street. But that logo is ancient, and honestly, I mean, if you want to pop it up again, for one thing, the font is papyrus,
Yes.
and nobody likes papyrus anymore, and that's putting it mildly. And then the only other feature is a feature of the building, and it really doesn't say anything about who we are as an institution or what we do. It says something about what's on the corner of 8th and Quay Street. And that's really all it says. And we're about a lot more than just a turret, and
Right.
that's what I kept repeating in our process when we started to redo the logo. It's like, come on.
I do have to say though, if any institution has the right to use papyrus font, it is a library where things are printed material, right? But I totally agree. Time to update that.
I mean, nobody uses actual papyrus anymore. So why should the world have papyrus font forced on them anymore?
Yep. Papyrus font and Comic Sans can both be put to bed, right? We
Yes,
never need to say
I
them
I
again.
agreed. I think it would be better to use wingdings personally. At least they're interesting to look at.
Right. Okay, so do you want to give the drum roll while I pull up what the new logo of the library looks like?
Sure. Ta-da! So that is our new logo, and we really like it. A couple of years back, about 2 years ago, my partner in crime in the marketing department and I, Emily Brandt, uh, we we started to do a new marketing plan for the library that grew out of the library's 5-year plan because we just wanted to come up with the best way to disseminate information about the library both from within for people who work here and people who are interested in partnering with us for different things. And all of our research led us to the fact that we badly needed a new logo to say who and what we were about because through our research, and I'm sure you know this, I'm preaching to the choir with someone in the trade that you are, but with that, you have less than a second to make an impression on someone. And if they don't like your logo, or if they're not interested, that's even worse. If you don't like something, at least you remember it. If you don't care about it, you just dismiss it and it's gone forever. So, you have about 7/8 of a second to make an impression on someone. So we wanted something that was going to do it more than a turret and some papyrus text. And
Right. And I think you nail it with this new logo because it is locational. Like you immediately can identify it with Manitowoc based on the lighthouse. And
mhm,
then the fact that the lighthouse is actively engaged in reading a book,
mhm.
you immediately know that, it is knowledge, library kind of related. I love it. And I love how it's got the activeness too of the light kind of sweeping. It just feel like you can almost feel the movement.
Oh, yeah. Well, thank you. I'm glad you like it, because, what we were going for is exactly that. We want rock solid foundation, something that you can rely on. And in our area, that lighthouse is definitely, an anchor. And then with the beacon, not only does it indicate safe harbor, but it also says you've got an eye cast towards the future, and that you're not static, and that you're a beacon for the community, for trying to, see what's next before you even know you need what's next. And then the book, it's the most traditional conveyor of knowledge. People associate it with libraries, and the way that Stephen, the graphic artist we were working with Library Market, came up with it. I love that it's also, waves breaking on the library, on the lighthouse at the same time.
I didn't even catch that until you mentioned it. Yeah, I see the way. Okay, that's pretty cool.
And what's funny about it, and Emily, my office mate, and I talk about this all the time, is when we sat down and we actually, decided that we were going to move forward with this, Emily, myself, and the 4 other people that were on the team for designing this, we said, okay, here's what we don't want: no water, no books, no local architectural features, and we want both upper and lowercase letters.
And okay, funny, can we just say that this meets none of those parameters?
No, it meets none of the criteria. But as we work through it, with Stephen, and he was just fantastic. This was, he presented with, all told, like somewhere in the neighborhood probably of 20 different logos. And, there were, I wouldn't call it fighting, but there were active disagreements on what people liked and what they didn't like. I mean, there was one that I absolutely just hated, and everyone kind of liked it. And the reason I didn't like it was it wasn't our lighthouse. It was more of like the East Coast stacked lighthouse. But the problem was it had a lot of pastels, and as such, it reminded me of this salt and pepper shaker set my wife and I bought in the 80s. And I couldn't shake that. And it's like, I don't see the library in this at all. But what's funny is that in many ways, he took a lot of what people didn't like and made it what people wanted. It was just it was a feat of graphic magic, and I applaud him for it. And it was great. And I love the lowercase letters, even though I didn't think I was, going to like that initially. It's very approachable and very accessible. And the colors that he picked, I mean, it was a long process, but it was worth it.
Yeah, I think he nailed it. And I think that that's a really good point that you brought up too, that it is the Manitowoc Lighthouse and not an East Coast lighthouse. We remind ourselves of that all the time, that yes, it's nautical here, but we need to celebrate the nautical of here, the maritime of here. So it's not starfish, it's not crabs, it's not East Coast lighthouses. We need to celebrate the nautical and the maritime here. That makes us cool.
Yeah, and it's not even the Algoma Lighthouse, because the city of Algoma has their lighthouse on their city's logo, and that's great, but that's a different lighthouse. You should, if you're gonna go lighthouse, go with the lighthouse that you have. And,
right.
And I love it. And the one thing that we all agreed we didn't want, which he honored, is no seagulls.
Right. No.
Because we've got enough of that without reminding people that, they may poop on your car when you come to the library or park anywhere downtown.
And it doesn't help tell your story, right? Like, it is distilled down to those essential features. You've got the book, you've got the location, and then, especially too with the beacon, it's like shining the light on knowledge, or the beacon of knowledge.
Yeah.
It's really distilled down to the quintessence of the library, whereas a seagull doesn't really help. It doesn't convey anything additional that you need in there.
Right. I guess if you desperately needed a foreground element to like add depth or perspective to the design, maybe then. But the book waves take care of that very nicely, and I like breaking the plane with the beacon.
Yeah, I do too. It makes it active, and it almost personifies the lighthouse. I almost feel like he's just going to spin his head and start looking at the next page of the book.
I wish we could do that, but that would take way too much time to load. on the website.
So the website, so not only does the library have this new look, a new logo, a new kind of identification, you've carried that through to the website. And hopefully viewers, you can see the homepage of the manitowoclibrary.org website cycling through on the screen here. Tim, let's walk through this a little bit. One thing I noticed immediately, and you said is one of your favorite features, is this calendar. So on the right-hand side is a calendar, but when I click on something, it actually pulls up a little off canvas menu. It's getting cut off a little bit, I think, on this screen. It's not cut off when you actually visit the website. But each little nugget on the calendar, you get all of this additional information.
Yep, and all it takes is one click on it, and then you go to the specific page for it on the calendar.
Yeah.
That was one of the features that I immediately loved when we worked with a firm that, when you start the process of getting a new website, you look at all the websites that you like, and, not just library websites, but other websites. And then you distill it down to library sites. And one of the ones we liked was actually the Mead Library in Sheboygan. We're like, it's just got so many nice features, and it really draws you in. So Emily called them and asked who did their website. And so we found out it was Library Market, and we set up meetings with them, as well as, doing meetings with a bunch of other firms. And the thing that was great about Library Market, as their name implies, is that they only work with libraries. And a lot of the people that work for Library Market in the past have worked at libraries. So they really have a great grasp of not just what libraries want, but how to integrate things like the card catalog into a website, which is a really arduous task unless it's something that you're familiar with. And also, you're not just getting the entire ILL, capability integrated into the website as well. But one of the first things we saw was that calendar, and it was just like, good Lord, that just makes it so much easier. And on our old website, you had to go to, it wasn't even a calendar. It was just an events page, and it wasn't present on the homepage at all. So it didn't even give you a taste. When you went into it, it was all just clunky text and no visuals associated. And we also found out we had used a platform called Evance. I'm not sure if you know that or not, but it's being sunsetted. So it wasn't even going to be around. It's not going to be around much longer. So we actually had to just get something new in order to not have to add another element that wasn't part of the initial thing with the old website.
Right. Well, and yeah. Can I just point out too, this mega menu is so cool and so easy to look at. I love this. What should we dip into, Tim? What's something that you like that you would want to show viewers?
The mega menu, I would go to maybe research and learn to the premium online resources. And it just brings it out very clearly, the many different resources that we have that you can access when you're not at the library, just with your library card. And there's a ton of great educational resources. I wish we had this when we were in the teeth of the pandemic and, people weren't back in school, because we always promoted this. But our old website, it was just honestly, it was just lists of names. And it didn't give you any description. Now, not only does it have the logos, but it has the brief descriptions, and it entices you to explore further. And I love that. The
Right.
online resources is another great thing. And like you said, the mega menu though just makes it so easy to see all the various things that we have. Like, boy, I don't even know where. Well, you were just on. Where were you? Is that resources?
Oh, this is
No,
services.
services. I mean, just that it differentiates it by kids, teens, and adults and teachers. You can just click on any one of them, and it just it's very specific, and it's also so much more visual. And then when you go into the kids page, for example, you have just kids events in the calendar. When you go to the teen section, it's that way as well. If you keep scrolling down though, oh, don't leave here yet. Don't leave here yet. If you keep scrolling down, keep going, keep going, you will see. Now stop. This is one of the things I love. In every section, there is a book river that makes book recommendations, whether you're you have a young child, whether you're a young child who loves books and is on the website, if you're a teen or an adult, if you scroll over any of the books, you see that it has a description and it tells you all about the books. And then if you would click on the books, but you don't have to do that, you just get taken to the card catalog. Although I do love the true story of the Three Little Pigs. We did that during no, that wasn't during Giving Tuesday. We did Stone Soup, but we did during the pandemic. We did a virtual readers theater version of the true story of the Three Little Pigs, and shockingly, I played the Big Bad Wolf. So
I grew up on Miss Nelson is Missing, so I'm so happy to see that that's in the staff picks.
Oh yeah, and what's great is the staff is being great about making suggestions and recommendations for books, and it's so easy to do. We have them for months in advance now, and just the way the system is set up, everything gets downloaded really easy with just the ISBN number. So
oh, that's amazing.
I love the book rivers too.
And I like that you said, so let's just check out like the adults. Okay, so like you said, the calendar updates. So now it's got adult specific events, and lo and behold, there is a book river.
I believe you have discussed the middle book with Teresa on occasion.
I was just going to say that. I actually listened to that book, the audio version of it. It was a pretty interesting story, a really unexpected plot.
Well, yeah, it's great, and I love that that's a feature, and I love that. I know this is a tiny thing, but it's covered with our URL. Stay up to date.
Oh, yeah,
is that what it says? Stay up to date. I love that you can sign up for the library's e-newsletter just by clicking on that. Oops. It's just really easy. Everything is so accessible and intuitive and user friendly, and nothing is hidden. You don't have to. What I would say that what this website does more than anything is it encourages you to explore. It's not that you have to do an archaeological dig to find an event or a book or a service. It's there. And the mega menu makes it really easy to navigate and find things. A mega menu is such a good thing. We just had drop down. That's all you had was, the old website. We were talking about this beforehand. There are many ways to describe it, but one of the best ways to describe it is that it simply had outlived its usefulness. And the way it was set up, people tried to improve it. And to a degree they did, but it looked awful on mobile devices and on phones. You're looking at it on a desktop computer. I encourage people to check it out on their phones because it looks great, on your phone as well and on a tablet. The format fits, whereas the other one just didn't have that functionality and forward gaze. I would say it had tons of white space. You had to scroll forever and to find nothing. And so
I feel like every time we had these conversations about different events or things that were upcoming, there was always a manitowoclibrary.org/something that you really needed in order to get there, right? Like it wasn't obvious if you just went to manitowoclibrary.org where to find some of the different things that you were promoting. Whereas this really makes things all front and center and easy to navigate.
Oh yeah, and even if we are giving out the URLs, for example, like the old ones, because of Events and everything, it was always manitowoclibrary.org/E uppercase Q 37 semicolon, and it was a string of things that no one on earth was going to remember. Now everything is just so simple. Word search, like Great Decisions is manitowoclibrary.org/ events/great decisions. It's just what it is. So if you wanted to type something in, you could find it just by putting its name in there with Manitowoc Public Library. And another thing, it's a tiny thing, but up top it has the search bar, and you can choose between the catalog. It's no longer the card catalog, but the catalog of books, and the website, just with a click. So if you want to find something on the website, you can do it now. That wasn't a feature we had before. Our old website wasn't searchable.
Yep, I got stung by that a number of times.
Oh, me too. And I work here, and I'd be like, I want to find an event, and I can't find the event, and I work here. So,
Yeah.
and now, the calendar is so clear and useful, and it's just a pleasure to use it. Like when I'm putting things together, like Google ads and everything. I don't have to use a Facebook ad. I can just, you know, use the URL for people to click on, that brings them immediately into the loving embrace of Manitowoc Public Library's website. And then there's the full calendar, and you were just on. I think you were on Adventure Pass. I saw that. Was that just what were you on before
Oh,
that had
I was,
Adventure?
yeah, I was on Adventure
Adventure Pass.
Pass.
Yeah, for example, now Adventure Pass is clearly laid out. It has all the participating programs. We plan on adding more institutions to the Adventure Pass program, and they're just going to be right there. And it spells everything out for you. And it's engaging. It's not just, being assaulted by letters.
Yeah. And what I wanted to point out too, what I just discovered about the calendar is, so you can see the full calendar, but then you can also filter it. So if you're
Hmm.
just interested in something for babies and toddlers, for example, simply click on that on the side, hit
Yep.
apply, and now you've just got babies and toddlers relevant activities happening. You can
Yep.
easily reset it. Let's see if we just want to know for teens, if we apply that, that is a
Just teen
really
events.
cool feature.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it just, whatever it is that you're looking for, whatever your specific interest, um, we've distilled it down so that it makes it much easier to find, and I love that. I love it, and it was a lot of meetings, and it was a lot of homework involved. And all of a sudden it was like, when we were done with this, we wrapped up, around the first part of February. It was like, oh, now I have time to actually do other work. It's like, well, will I fit this in? It takes a lot to, and that's what's great. It takes a lot to lay the foundation, but then when it's all in place, and if anyone is thinking about doing a website, the one thing that I would encourage everyone to do is find the right firm to work with, because everything is so specialized anymore. Everything, it's so niched that, it's just, it's very important that you find the right people to work with, so that it's an enjoyable process. And I love the way you guys have updated your website. It makes it one-stop shopping for Manitowoc, and that's something that we definitely needed. So I mean, it's become a visual website world. I mean,
Right.
that's just the bottom line anymore. And to look away from that and pretend this is just a fad, it's you're going to make yourself very sad. You'll
You're
wind up
so
crying.
right. It is not the 90s anymore, so our websites should not look like that either. Tim, congratulations to you and all of the library staff for making this happen. This is a great addition. I love what you mentioned, is that the library is always looking for the next thing, looking ahead. What is the future? And this clearly demonstrates that, and makes all of the great things that you're planning and making available right here online.
Well, thank you. I mean, thank you. That's really all I can say. And one day, in 15, 20 years, someone will go, oh my God, what were they trying to do with this website? And that's just how things roll. But hopefully, I'll just be living in a senior living facility at that point, and it won't matter to me that people don't enjoy this website as much. But for right where we are now, and for the foreseeable future, um, we couldn't be more proud of how it came together and what we can present to our community, because it's a much better resource for the community than what we had before.
It is awesome. Tim, thank you so much for coming on Coffee on the Coast and sharing this with us and with the community. We really appreciate it. It is always great to see you. Looking forward to the next time you can be our guest. And
Thank you. I love
you
being on. Thank you so much for always having us.
You bet. And thanks for spiffing up today with the tie and everything.
Well, I had to, a new website. I had to present at least a decent look to go with the website, and so I was like, oh, and I have a purple shirt and a Vagabonds on is purple, so it's all thematic. I know, and I even remembered how to tie a tie.
That's amazing. So that's not a clip-on?
No, it is not. See, I'll pull on it. I'll flip up my collar a little bit and everything.
And then
big boy tie.
That's where we devolve.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you so much. Thank you, viewers, for joining us today for this episode of Coffee on the Coast. We'll see you next time.
Thank you. Bye.